The alarming frequency of these mass shooting incidents and the disruption of potential massacres is casting a renewed spotlight on mental health tonight and the warning signs that seem to be common after the fact in so many of these cases. Let's bring in Fox News medical contributor Dr. Jeanette Neshwatz and the author of How to Spot a Terrorist Before It's Too Late, former FBI Special Agent John Iannarelli. Welcome back to both of you. Good to have you tonight.
Hi, Shannon.
Good to be here. I want to start with this. This is the timeline. April 2019, police are notified that this guy attempted suicide. September of that same year, police were called to the family home. They seized a collection of knives, a dagger, a sword, all kinds of things after he, quote, threatened to kill everyone. Then December, just a couple of months later, his father sponsored an application for the firearm owner's identification card because he was under 21. And then between June 2020 and September 2021, he passed 4 background checks when purchasing firearms. So, John, where did this fall through the cracks in the system? Is it not equipped to catch this kind of individual?
It should have. There should have been reports made to the state police so that way when they do the background check in purchasing a weapon, they're aware this person has threatened to hurt other people. This person may be under psychiatric care. There's no point in having gun laws if you're not going to follow what's already on the books. Here we have a terrible tragedy as a result.
So let's talk about some of the signs. The NPR reports this. They say Highland Park suspect's online history reveals a fascination with violence. They say at least 2 of his music videos, because he makes music, depicted some kind of shooting. On Discord, he shared a photo of Bud Dwyer, a politician who killed himself during a live press conference, and he apparently posted thousands of times to an online forum dedicated to sharing violent photos and videos of people dying. So, Doctor, where do we get potential clues as family members, as people who are in the orbit of someone, that there may be something off, that isn't just a phase or some, strange teenage behavior, but something deeper?
Yeah, Shannon, unfortunately, all the red flags, all the warning signs were there, but nobody took action to prevent what we saw happen with these shootings, with these 7 innocent civilians who were killed and almost 30 who were injured. But you know what? It starts at home. It starts with the parents looking at changes in their child's behavior, in their grades. Have they been fired from their job? Are they using drugs? What is their behavior like? Their attitude? Are they irritable? Are they, suffering from anxiety or depression? Are they seeing their doctor and taking their medications if perhaps maybe they were once diagnosed with anxiety or depression? We have more than 51 million Americans who suffer from mental illness, and 1 in 5 are go undiagnosed. And so it's a very serious problem. And I think it stems back from early childhood abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, neglect, repeated exposure to trauma. All of this plays a role, and it's so important. If we have our community involved, if we have our neighbors, our teachers, parents involved to look for the signs and the warnings, because we can stop it. There is therapy, there is medication to help, whether it's a mood disorder, a psychotic disorder, anxiety, or depression.
Yeah, we are starting to hear some things from people who were in the family's orbit about potential issues of these kids. He and his siblings the parents not being very attentive to some of them and some of their situations. And, those are potential cracks that can come if kids feel neglected or they just don't have that tight relationship with their parents. It misses the opportunity to keep close tabs, obviously, to see how they're doing physically and mentally, that they're well. So let's go back to this issue of the dad, because back in 2019, we do know that there was this report about him, quote, going to kill people, going to kill everyone. The weapons, the knives and those things were taken. Now, the dad has denied that he knew anything about that. Police say that is not true, that the dad actually said, oh, those are my things. He was keeping them for me. So police claim he knew something about that situation, but then just a couple of months later sponsored him on this petition to get a gun license. The New York Times says this, New York Post in July, just today, says when gun buyers under age 21 are seeking to purchase firearms in Illinois, their parent or legal guardian must sponsor the application and sign an affidavit stating that they're allowing the purchase and they agree to be held liable for any damages resulting from the minor applicant's use of firearms. John, authorities so far are not willing to say whether there could be any charges in that context for these parents.
Well, there's probably going to be charges, and I guarantee there's going to be liability civilly. This is parenting 101, and today you see so many parents just afraid to get involved with what their kids are doing. They want to be their friends as opposed to their parent. There is no way that parent should have authorized something like this. What he should have done is sought out the help the doctor talked about in getting his child the counseling he needed and addressing those issues. A gun was not the answer.
Well, and New York Post also reporting that a mural was painted on the outside back wall of the house. We don't have the photo. We can't show you that, but let me just describe it for you. It shows a character with a yellow happy face for a head, but the body appears to be clutching what's described as a high-powered rifle. Again, doctor, final word on watching for signs and knowing when, it's something serious that needs to be elevated to the next step.
Yeah, I think it's so important. Go with your gut. If you feel that something's off, speak up, say something, because you could potentially be the one that could save lives. And, unfortunately, Shannon, I think the COVID lockdowns really exacerbated the underlying medical illness that we see, medical conditions that we see. It's had such severe inflammatory impact on the youth, here in our country. And now what we're seeing is the psychological manifestations of the social disengagement, the social isolation that's having this impact that resulted in anxiety and fear and loneliness and depression. And when you don't have the coping skills to deal with those emotional disturbances, we see these types of outbreaks. So if you see something that's off, talk to your parents, talk to a neighbor, call the police, because again, you could be potentially saving lives, just as we saw several gun mass shootings potentially thwarted in this past 48 hours because someone spoke up and said something.
Yeah, it's a responsible thing to do no matter how difficult it may be. Doctor, great to have you. And John, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you,
Thank
Shannon.
you.
All right, with new polls.